Hi, Sachsenhausen. Polonia gwarna, parna, Germania richtig dicker Heil. Sachsenhausen. Wirtycie jak bambusik, trupie łebki to kaktusy Heil. Es lebe kule der Kampf.
Welcome to Descendant Stuff, a podcast by and for the descendants of Sachsenhausen prisoners, working together to uncover the unanswered questions of its history. Sachsenhausen was a Nazi concentration camp located in Oranienburg, Germany, used from 1936 through April 1945. It was used as a labor camp, with a network of subcamps and worksites around the region, as well as a prison camp, death camp, medical experimentation center, and SS training ground. It was also the administrative center for all Nazi concentration camps. We are Jakob, Kelsey, and Nicole, three descendants of Sachsenhausen prisoners. Though our relatives were imprisoned for different reasons, we've discovered we have much in common. In each episode, we interview other descendants, researchers, and even survivors, sharing stories, memories, and research to build a clearer picture of the past, one that goes beyond the records. Through these conversations, we honor those who suffered and died at Sachsenhausen and strengthen our collective understanding of our own ancestors' experiences. This episode was recorded during the commemoration for the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Sachsenhausen in our podcast studio in Tower A, with special assistance from the Sachsenhausen Memorial and Museum. This interview is about Aleksandr Milenkiy. Aleksandr was born in 1925 in Minsk, Belarus. Aleksandr volunteered in the Red Army Infantry to fight Nazi Germany in the fall of 1942 at age 17 and participated in the Big Battle of Kursk in the summer of 1943. In October of 1943, he was captured by Germans after being wounded crossing the Dnieper River under enemy fire. He was then imprisoned in Sachsenhausen, where he joined an international resistance group opposed to the Nazis. In April 1945, he was liberated by the U.S. Army during a forced march. Aleksandr came to the U.S. from Belarus in 1992 and died in Shorewood, Wisconsin, June 14, 2019. He was 93. Today, Kelsey is speaking with Yauhen Kazantsev, Aleksandr's grandson.
My name is Yauhen Kazantsev. I was born in Minsk, Belarus, and I'm currently based in Warsaw, Poland, doing my scholarship research on the history of mills and mill work and mill industry in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in the 16th and 18th centuries. So I used this opportunity to come to Germany, to Oranienburg, and see the memorial of the concentration camp where my grandfather was imprisoned as a Soviet prisoner of war during the World War II in 1944 to 1945. He left a memoir describing these experiences, and his name was Aleksandr Milenkiy. He was a Belarusian Jew, but not a religious one, and when the war started, his family moved to Bukhara in Uzbekistan, and then he was drafted. In 1943, he fought at Kursk and he liberated Ukraine, but north of Kiev, he was imprisoned shortly before his 18th birthday, and he went through several concentration camps at Borodyanka, Shepetivka, and Helm, and then he went here to Sachsenhausen, and the first thing he saw was the SS hanging Soviet prisoners of war. One of them was trying to shout his true name, but they didn't let him. And during his stay here, he saw many acts of both decent behavior, of compassion, of bravery at the face of adversity, and this honorable behavior of the human scum. So that sparked his interest in psychology and he majored in psychology and in Russian later at the university, and he had a PhD in psychology. In his memoir, he describes several barracks, not just one, probably because he was doing propaganda work at the resistance. There was hidden radio somewhere, and he was listening to the news from the Russian front lines, and he was looking for the Soviet prisoners of war. He was actually Jewish, but he had cover identity as a Russian man. And some people blackmailed him. They took his food rations and told him otherwise they would tell the superiors he's Jewish. So he posed as a Russian. He went to barracks. He asked other people from Gorky, from, let's say, Stalingrad, people from these cities that were liberated by the Red Army by the time, and told the news from the front lines. He also was a part of the shoe testing team, and there were people from Belgium, Greece, Norway, and other countries running and rolling at the tracks with various covers that are partly reconstructed now at the memorial. And this is the first time I visit this place and see what my grandfather described in his memoir. I also remember visiting him. In 1992, he moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I had talks with him where he mentioned his experiences at Sachsenhausen in other places. It was almost a decade before his mother saw him again in a part of Minsk that wasn't destroyed. Wooden houses, and when he went there, his mother didn't recognize him. I have two photos of him, one from 1943 when he was drafted. It was made in Bukhara, and another one from after the war, when military drills took place, and he was wearing the World War II era uniform that was not in use by the time in the army, but in use when the officers had drills. And I wouldn't say he looks different, but something happened to him throughout the experience he had as a prisoner of both Nazi and Soviet camps. Well, it wasn't a camp, but rather a labor settlement somewhere in Siberia. And he was lucky enough to meet a high-ranking Soviet official there who helped him get back home to Minsk, Belarus. He was emaciated by the time the death march started, and somehow he happened to be fed by a German woman. But what's missing in his memoir is the fact that the US troops liberated him. For some reason, he omitted it. His memoir was meant to be published in Moscow in 1961, in a book with the memoirs of the Soviet prisoners of war, but for some reason just a piece of it was published as a part of other person's memoir. Probably because of the leader of resistance mentioned in his memoir, Kurt Rittwagen was his name, and he was an anti-fascist and communist. He studied in Leningrad, and after the war he became Stasi, state security agent, who became known when he kidnapped a Western German journalist. My father has a manuscript in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I have a copy, and I'm hoping to type and send it to whoever may publish it. It's well written in Russian. It's like Dostoevsky. the anniversary. It's also my grandfather's 100th anniversary coming this October. He passed away in 2019 and is buried in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Unfortunately, I didn't visit his grave, but when I got a scholarship from the Polish government, I used this opportunity to visit the concentration camp. In his memoir, my grandfather stated that when he recalled this place, neither torture, pain, or hunger came to his mind, but people, the great human brotherhood forged in blood. Both decent people and scum he used to discern these people, so it forged him as a psychologist.
Heil Sachsenhausen. A jak będę jutro wzdychał lewą nóżką, ci zawtikam. Heil, es lebe Gold, o Kampf.